And there we are. We're live. Welcome, everybody, to 2A Tuesday. I know what you're thinking. Today's not Tuesday, but we did have to bump the normal scheduled time. We had some stuff going on family-wise, and like I said on Tuesday, it's good stuff, nothing bad at all. But we had to go get with some family and do some stuff Tuesday night. So here we are, the special Thursday edition of 2A Tuesday, and we're gonna get into a little bit of talking about some red flag laws. I know we did that here a while back, but some stuff has happened in the meantime, and especially here in Nebraska. So we're going to kind of revisit this and dig a little bit deeper into that subject tonight. So we do have a motley panel. What is it that Night Strike always says? A motley crew of panelists here.
Yes.
Some familiar faces, some fairly new faces, and then we've got one special guest who's never joined us before. In fact, he's not even been in the Gun Channel's community before. So we will let everybody go through and introduce themselves. We will start with Mr. Rod Moeller. Just go ahead and tell everybody who you are and just a little bit about what you do, maybe for NFOA or what you do. I believe you're involved in the firearm industry or the 2A community more than just with NFOA, correct?
I am still an instructor. I did have, as a part-time business, I had a retail shop in La Vista for about 6 years. My work schedule with my primary job that paid the mortgage moved my hours around, so I wasn't able to continue on. So we let the lease expire when that was up. So we've been out of that for a couple of years. We still do some instruction. But I've been with the NFOA, let's see, the NFOA has been around for 10 years. It's the Nebraska Firearm Owners Association. We were founded shortly after Nebraska finally enacted the Concealed Handgun Permit Act in 2006. There were a lot of compromises that were included in that when it was originally enacted. And so the following year and the year after that,
All right.
you have an earthquake out there?
Yeah, close to it. That's what happens when you try to swivel your chair and you smack up against your desk.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if I told you, Rod, this is not the most professional of all live chats that go out on the internet, but we do what we can.
Good, I'll fit right in. So anyway, there were a number of enhancements that needed to be made, and the NRA came in and opposed a lot of those enhancements that we wanted to have in 2007. And so there were some members that had been working towards getting the Concealed Handgun Permit Act originally passed, said, screw this, we need a state-level organization that's actually going to represent Nebraskans. And that's how the NFOA was founded. I joined them a year later when I found out about them. And a year after that, I ran for the board of directors and spent a number of years on the board, stint as vice president, worked as a lobbyist for a while. So I've played a few different roles within the organization, and currently working also on the communications committee.
Awesome. So if I'm not mistaken, you are the one that is handling the videos right now as far as updates for the current legislative session, things like that going out, right?
Yeah, we decided to try something a little different last year and do a weekly update. For each week there was something to update on. And we had some really good positive reaction to that. So we decided to do that again this year. And would like to kind of expand on that, maybe, dive in a little deeper on certain bills to explore them a little bit more than just giving an update as to what happened during the week.
Absolutely. I can't speak for all Nebraskans, but I really do enjoy seeing those updates. It's we've got some people around our community, and all of us kind of know each other through a website called gunchannels.com. It's kind of like the water cooler of the 2A community. It doesn't really matter what you're into, whether it's sport shooting or hunting or collecting or defense or concealed carry, anything and everything under the 2A umbrella. There's somebody there that likes what you like and wants to talk about what you want to talk about. You can go there and it's built similar to a Facebook or a MySpace type community, and it's all for people who are pro 2A. And so we definitely encourage you to join that. It costs just as much as a membership to NFOA, which is free. So we encourage everybody to join that too, and it's a great way to make a lot of friends in not a lot of time. So welcome, Rod. We're pleased to have you with us tonight, and we'll get into a little bit of the laws that are happening and some of the changes that are being proposed here in our state. But first, let's say hi to everybody else that has joined us tonight. So we'll just start over there alphabetically and run down the list. We've got Armament and Axes joining us tonight.
Hey, what's up, peeps? Yeah, I was busy hanging out in Hank's chat, and then I made it to Sarge's just in time to hear him talking about me. I got to go back and watch it, but I don't care. We're all friends. We're brothers. I do know that my good friend, the Tyven Show, and Richard Hughes, we got our Creator Summit coming up in September. I guess the Crazy Scotsman got with Tyven today. He sent me a text. I'm like, let's promote this thing. So other than that, not a lot going on. I'm just dealing with -4-degree temperatures, but it's supposed to be like in the 50s this weekend. Crazy Ohio weather. Not a lot going on. I'm just dealing with it's supposed to be like in the 50s this weekend. Crazy Ohio weather. Not a lot going on. I'm just dealing with wow.
There we go. Rod, I muted you. If you could do us a favor real quick, I forgot to warn you this was going to happen. Over on the actual YouTube chat, the sound started coming through the speakers, I think. So you can just pause that. You can still see the chat on the side there, even with that pause. So all right, Double A, go ahead and finish. I'm sorry, that was my poor hosting abilities.
That's all right. Actually, you just need to mute. You can leave it run. You just need to mute on the YouTube side. Anyway, our Creator Summit coming up in September, hoping to make it a big thing. We're going to try and get a good promotion going here pretty soon and get out on all these channels that we all hang out on. See if we can make it happen. It's going to be in Ohio. You can shoot out to a mile, Thunder Valley Precision.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
And I am putting on a 3-gun thing on this weekend, so it's all bragging rights and have fun. It doesn't matter. I don't think we'll do any money involved or anything. It's just you're gonna pay to come to the event, and after that, I don't know, unless we want to get friendly competitions going. You know what I mean? So, but we're looking to have some vendors there. We had Fort Scott Munition and GOA there last year. So, last year was rushed. This year, we're trying to plan it a little more and try and get this worked out. Make it a event that us creators that do what we do right now, hanging out, can actually get together and meet. You know what I mean? So, but other than that, that's all that's going on. We haven't put a video out in 2 months. Just life's been busy. My brother, who's supposed to be our editor, he's been busy working, and he got into reloading, and well, yeah, he's hooked. So
the void claims another.
Yes, it does. So anyway, that's what's going on. What's up with all y'all?
All right. Well, thanks for being here. All right, we will move over to New Jersey and say hi to AWAG 1000.
Hi. Thanks for the invite, first and foremost. So my little project is mostly just a YouTube channel. I'm on gun channels here and there occasionally. But my YouTube channel is at AWAG 1000. Look for my big smiley yellow face. Has lots of I try to have sort of soothing videos, but at the same time, other videos just kind of are off of a whim, like how I think backup iron sights are stupid. you can debate me after the live chat about that. Yeah, other than that, check out my channel. Check out everybody else's channel on this panel if you do have a YouTube channel. Yeah, check out everybody here and definitely check out mine. I'll have more videos in the works.
Awesome. All right. And I muted you a couple times just because the road noise was bleeding through. So now we will go the other coast out to California behind enemy lines. We've got the Tactical Pickle.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize there was so much road noise.
That's okay.
Appreciate the invite. And, my channel is pretty small, but that's where I do try to release a video every week. Just kind of whatever catches my interest. Again, thanks for the invite, and let's have a good chat.
Excellent. All right, moving right down the line, we will go back to the Midwest. We've got Glitter and Guns.
Good evening. Thank you for the invite. I am coming from Ohio. Pretty much just got into guns about 2 to 3 years ago. Loving life, loving guns. Ready to chat and learn from everybody and continue to grow.
Excellent. All right, well, glad to have you here. All right, the Kingpin himself, David Bowling, what's up?
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Always a better chat when you're around. You always kind of have a little bit of voice of reason going on there, so we appreciate it. And then the opposite of voice of reason, Obnoxious One.
I am a delight, and I am always reasonable. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
Totally.
The best thing about you is how humble you are, and if anybody doesn't believe it, they can just ask you.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I'm as humble as can be. I am the
How humble are you on a scale of 1 to humble?
I am 11. I turned my humble up to 11. Yes,
See, the rest of the country
he has like a dial that he just turns.
Yep,
being humble as hell today.
A lot of people will say, well, can't you be more humble? Just make 10 more humble. And I'll say, no, I turned my humble up to 11.
See, the rest of the country doesn't understand this. In Nebraska, we say on a scale of 1 to Tom Osborne, how humble are you? And so...
I don't understand that at all.
He was he's a very humble guy for all the different great things that the man's done in his lifetime. So thanks for being here, Obnoxious. All right, we are gonna
nothing great.
We're gonna move up north to the frozen tundra, where it is still, I believe, below zero over there too, right, Squib?
Let me check. Let's see what my phone says. It says I can't see it because I have.
Uh-oh. Does Squib have volume? How about now?
I can hear him just fine.
Really?
Hello?
Hi.
How is everyone?
Doing okay. How about yourself? I heard it's really cold up there.
Oh, you'd like a weather report? No problem. According to the Weather Channel, it is -2, feels like -17.
I was just going to say he couldn't see his phone because it was frosted over.
Yeah.
Or frozen. The screen froze.
Islands froze shut.
It's a nice toasty 64 degrees in this part of the factory. I'll be getting out of work here hopefully in the next 15 minutes. I appreciate the invite.
Thanks for being here. We'll try to leave you alone until we know that you are on the road and available to talk. So last but not least, coming one more time from the great state of Nebraska, we've got the tactical teacher, Travis P11.
Oh, gee, tactical now? I got to be tactical in the classroom?
Wow.
All right.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody call you that yet.
Well, you know the way I can duck behind coffee machines and, no, guys, hey, appreciate the invite as usual. Cheap plugs, check out my podcast Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. Central Time, Caliber Corner over there on gunchannels.com, and my YouTube channel, Travis P11. And I'm also on guntube.org. So check it out. Thanks for the invite, man.
Yep, thanks for being here.
Cool.
Wouldn't be able to do this without you.
Oh, now come on, you're doing good.
All right, so we're going to get into this a little bit. I don't even know all the particulars, and I'm going to be honest. I didn't do enough of my homework, Rod, because I knew you were here. are going to be here, and I knew that you have done the homework. So I guess before I get too far ahead of myself, I do want to say hi to everybody who is watching us out on gun channels and YouTube. So on the gun channel side, we've got G-Webs is out there. We've got David Bowling out there. And I see Jim Burgess, but I don't think he's actually in the house. I think he's just kind of hanging out there on gun channels and not actually logged in. So thanks everybody for joining us on that side. And then on YouTube, we've got Stephen Kaiser, also coming from the great state of Nebraska. We've got Frank Hellman, tacos and French fries, making us all hungry. Snob's wife, User Normus. I don't think I've seen you in here before. User Nomus? I can't say that right. Kingpin is out there and in here. Armament Nax is out there in here. Gizzard Gary's in the house. We've got, who else do we have rolling up through here? I saw a few other people. Gun Loving Grandpa Stanley's in here. Thomas Cease. Thomas is in the house. We've got Glitter and Guns there and here. Good to have Frankie with us. Rob C is out there because why wouldn't he be? His wife's hanging out with us in the chat. Rob, if you ever want a link, just let us know. You guys can both come hang out. Squib is there in here. Grim90 is out there in the chat. And I think that is Obnoxious One, Travis P11. I think that's about everybody for now. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. So, Rod, would you tell us what's going on with the proposed red flag law that has been introduced to the unicameral?
Sure. So Senator Moorfeld is the one that introduced the bill, and it's known as LB 58. If you wanted to go look up the language for that and follow along, the path that this bill will take. I've not seen it scheduled for a committee hearing yet, but I imagine it'll come up sometime in the next couple of weeks.
Real quick before we go too far into that, what is the website where somebody can go and find the legislative bills, the current ones?
Sure. So if you take a look at nebraskalegislature.gov, that is the website for the Nebraska legislature. There's a lot of great information on there. You can look up to see who your senator is. You can search bills for the current session. You can look at historical stuff, old bills. But right on the first page in the upper right-hand corner, you can plug in an LB number if you know what the bill number happens to be. In this case, it's 58. And it will take you to the sheet that kind of tracks that whole thing. It shows you who introduced the bill. And as it progresses through the process, you will see transcripts. So once it's gone through the committee hearing, there'll be a link. You can actually look at a transcript of the hearing and see everything that was said by everyone that testified. As well as if it gets out of committee and gets to the floor, there'll be a transcript available for every day that it was debated on the floor. That'll be linked right on that same page.
Awesome. Okay, so as far as the wording of the bill, I know every state has got a little bit different wording. The states that have introduced these. What can you tell us? What do we need to know about Senator Moorfeld's proposed law?
Well, first, it's not exactly unique language that he came up with. It's practically word for word from what was implemented in the states of Florida and Washington.
So he's plagiarizing?
Oh, no, he's a legislator. They don't plagiarize.
Oh, I was like, wow. I'm glad you put the work and effort into just really taking a hard look at our state and our needs instead of just jacking something from somebody else,
it's funny.
Politicians don't do that.
No, never. No, of course not.
It's funny you should mention that. In the past, when I've testified on various bills on behalf of the NFOA, it's not uncommon for Ernie Chambers to try to pressure me. Well, who crafted this language? Where did the language come from? And he wanted to make a big deal out of some of the language coming from a law from another state. And it's like, well, show me the book that says how Nebraska bills have to be worded.
for those of you who are not Nebraskans, Senator Chambers is well known across our state for what's a polite way to describe Senator Chambers? He's no friend of the Second Amendment, I can tell you that much.
When it comes to him, you expect the unexpected.
I believe now I'm new to the South, but I believe the term for somebody like that is "bless his heart."
Bless his heart. Yeah, and it's never. I don't think I've ever seen the man come to a session dressed in anything but sweatpants and a pocket T-shirt. He doesn't wear the typical suit and tie that you see most state senators wear in the chamber. So he's a very unique individual, and his constituents love him because they obviously keep him in his office. But the rest of us who think more towards the middle of the road or maybe the right side of the center line, we don't always agree with everything that Mr. Chambers agrees with. So
you're saying he comes to work in sweatpants and casual, like it doesn't mean that much to him, kind of, and he's not pro 2A?
No, not at all. No.
Sounds like a hippie. I mean, I'm sorry, it sounds like a hippie that.
Yeah, we're
old school hippie or now new school liberals.
Senators, we're here to discuss the bill that's been introduced.
Anyway.
So we'll let that go. But if there's going to be someone to speak against something that we as gun owners want to see happen, that he would be among the people speaking against it. We'll leave it at that. But okay, so we've established it's not really a whole lot different than some of those other states. But for those of us who haven't yet done a lot of homework, if the law were to go into effect as it is currently written, what would that mean for Nebraskans, Rod?
Okay. Well, first, it would allow law enforcement to file a petition for an order to take guns away from you if you felt that you were a threat. But more than law enforcement being able to do that, it would also allow family to file for an emergency protection order and have your firearms taken away without first going to court and being proven to be a danger. And see, that's kind of the crux of the issue that most of us have with this bill is there's a lack of due process. The senator that introduced it says, oh, there is due process. You will eventually get to go in front of a judge. But that's after you've already had your house ransacked, inventoried, and all of your firearms removed from the premises. And then it's a matter of fighting to get your stuff back.
Right. So the process is not due. It's actually undue. Or I wouldn't say undue. The due process comes after the fact.
You might just call it done.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Is there any provision as far as a guarantee for when the firearms get returned that they are returned in the shape in which they were originally taken? Is there anything as far as a time frame where they can't be held longer than this if you are found to be not a threat?
It's pretty weak. Nothing that I think would be on your side. I mean, there's if law enforcement were to violate what loose terms are included in the bill, there's no recourse. If they wanted to drag their feet, there's no penalties for doing so.
Okay. So
something interesting. The term family is a little bit more broad. I don't know if you heard me say that family could file for this petition. What do you think family means?
Well, and that's one of the things we were going to cover is actually what family does mean in this law. So to me, it would be a relative or an immediate in-law. I would consider family, and I think most of us would consider that to be family. but what is it? What is it actually as far as the ramifications of this law?
So it could be both current and former spouses. Hopefully, if you've had a divorce, you have an amicable split and don't have an ex-spouse that holds a grudge, or have, maybe a custody battle going on. Any person you've ever dated, that seems kind of odd. And anyone who's ever been a roommate. So that's a pretty broad definition of family.
And there's no limit to how far back that can go. Any time in your life, if you ever had a roommate, that person may or may not like you anymore. And if they wanted to be a pain in the neck, then they could just go to the police and say, hey, I qualify as family, and this guy's nuts, and you should take his guns away from him.
Pretty much.
Well, here in New Jersey, you don't even have to be family. You can be a neighbor across the street. You don't even actually have to know the person to be able to throw a red flag confiscation thing at somebody. If somebody down the street from you, who you can actually say is your neighbor, but you don't talk to them, if they see you going from your house to your car or your car to your house with a rifle case or something, they can immediately call the police on you and say, hey, this guy's a danger because he has a rifle.
Well, of course, because,
I was just going to hit the same thing. Red flag laws, really, your neighbor. Like you said, I've often wondered, okay, I'm carrying my guns, and luckily I have good neighbors, and most of them are all Pro 2A, but think about it. You're carrying your rifle case to your car, you're taking your ammo, you're going to the range. All they got to do is make a phone call and go, this guy scares me. Boom, red flag law. No. First step of confiscation right there.
I got a little bit of a how do you say it? A backup plan is when people, because normally I go out and I play airsoft a lot. If you don't know what airsoft is, it basically looks like real guns, but they shoot little plastic BBs, and it's good fun. So you can basically shoot at people without having the remorse of actually shooting them with an actual firearm.
I know airsoft and paintball.
So airsoft, when you buy them, they're supposed to have an orange tip, but you are allowed to modify them and take the orange tips off. It's not illegal to take those orange tips off. And my neighbor across the street, his son is into airsoft as well. So if one of his friends is over, I run out with one of my rifle cases to go to the range. They're like, hey, what you doing? I'm just saying, I'm going to play airsoft. And leave it at that. Because if people think that it's a toy, it's basically a little bit of a cover, because obviously I live in New Jersey. The red flag laws here are absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, I was just going to say, my neighbors don't come out and go, hey, what are you doing? But I don't know, if they see you actually carrying a gun case and think it's a gun, most of them scaredy cats are not going to come out and go, hey, what are you doing? Correct? I mean, they're just going to call the law and go, he scares me. He has a gun case. Red flag law. Boom, there you go.
Most of the areas where this is actually going to become a problem, the people are duped into thinking that if you own a gun, that you must be a criminal or you want to be Batman, one or the other.
Ding, 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 ding.
So now I know how Norfolk is here. I mean, for the most part, I haven't seen any huge pushback as far. I mean, my neighbors have never cared if, I don't know if they ever have seen me carry a rifle case out and load it in the vehicle or not. But I mean, it's never been an issue for any of my neighbors here. How is it in the Omaha area? And are you in La Vista or near that side of town, Rod?
I'm close to the county line, but I am in Omaha.
Okay. So as far as just the general community, I mean, is there a portion of Omaha or Omahans who, because I mean, it's as close to an urban area as we're going to ever get in Nebraska. Are there people who kind of feel the opposite of how the rest of the state does, where, oh my gosh, if you see something, say something, this person has a gun, they must be a threat?
There are a lot of folks like that. It's hard to say that they're concentrated in certain pockets or parts of town. I would say more the midtown area, where there's more of an artsy neighborhood. Those are some of the areas that seem to vote for the gun grabber types, more so than further west, or even North Omaha, South Omaha. Still have a lot of family based concentration. So you have a pretty big mix between people that believe in community and those that might be afraid of their own shadow.
Okay, gotcha. All righty. I'm only a couple hours away, but I don't spend a lot of time down there. And when I do, I'm pretty much in the same places. I might be in Cabela's, we might be in, a restaurant, or we might be at the hospital. That might be about it. I don't really get to interact with a lot of folks while I'm down there. And when I do, it's not something that you always bring up when you're just checking out at Target, and talking to the person running the cash register. Well, how do you guys feel about, people open carrying in Omaha? It's not a conversation you're probably going to have. So yeah, I don't know how things are for you. I grew up out in north central Nebraska, Kippaha County, right up on the South Dakota state line, right in the center. And I don't know anybody out there that doesn't own firearms. So, we all grew up knowing how to not point them at people, and even our toy guns. We got yelled at if we pointed a toy gun at somebody as a kid. Everybody just knows that a gun is a tool, and you respect it, and it does what you want it to, and it doesn't ever cause a problem out in rural Nebraska. But there's a lot of folks who don't have that luxury, growing up. They don't get to spend a lot of time around firearms, and they don't get to learn that. So
right.
Hey, Sandhill, I wanted to chime in. I seen a comment here. Stephen Kaiser Outdoor Adventure says, "What about YouTube videos? What if neighbor sees your gun videos? Could you be subject to red flag laws?" In other words, us as YouTubers, and your neighbor that lives down the street. Oh, he's got guns.
Yes.
Yeah, you do a mag dump on camera, and then they get triggered and call the police. Oh my God, he's probably firing a firearm. That's my biggest fear.
All right, and I want to address something real quick, Thomas. I saw where you mentioned that you're out in York. So that's cool. I love knowing that there's other Nebraskans that are joining us. Nobody's censoring you. We just ask that you keep the chat classy and try to keep the language clean, just because I want this to be a place where people can come and learn and hear good discussions. And nobody's going to kick you out. Well, not right away. If people become a nuisance, then we'll kick you out of our chat, because, as a host, this is my house, and if you want to hang out, that's cool. We do have a few house rules. Keeping it classy is one of them. That's all. So anyway, that being said, we'll go back. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments as far as the Nebraska laws go before we just kind of open this up and move on to the rest of the states too?
What are the chances of this actually passing? Do you think they'll be pushing it out into the media locally in the newspapers, saying, "Hey, if you want to feel safer, call your representative and tell them to vote yes for this or that"? Or what do you think?
Let me give you a little history. My perception of Senator Moorfeld and his motivations first, and then I'll answer your question directly.
Okay.
Senator Moorfeld just got reelected, so he's served for 4 years, and he's just starting his 5th year. And when he was elected 4 years ago, he was someone that I originally thought, he might be this new breed of Democrat that might actually work with this. I mean, he's very liberal on a lot of social issues, but he was a hunter. He owns firearms. I know people who've had many conversations with him. He initially supported state preemption. There were a lot of things that seemed very supportive for gun rights with him. And after he voted the state preemption bill out of committee, I believe that he got in some influence with a particular mayor in a particular large city in Lancaster County, and decided that he has political aspirations. And he needed this mayor to pretty much take him under his wing and provide him some future political support.
And sell out all of our gun rights.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, and sell out all of our ability to own firearms.
So Cassidy and the public safety dude in Lincoln and Mayor Beitler, they have been very, very anti-gun for a long time. And so he's pretty much doing his work there in the legislature by carrying any of these anti-gun bills and changing his position and fighting against preemption. But that being said, this will probably make it out of committee because we don't have any friends at all on the Judiciary Committee this year. Steve Lathrop is very much anti-gun. Most everybody is anti-gun on that committee. So it'll come out of committee. It'll probably make it on the floor for debate, but I don't see it advancing past the first round of debate. We don't really have enough. We don't have enough supporters to pass good bills, but we have enough of them to stop the bad bills.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then one other thing I guess I wanted to mention tonight too, if we can get off on a little bit of a side topic here. Speaking of the mayor of a particularly large town in Lancaster County, Nebraska, which for those of you that don't know, Lancaster County is the county where the state capital is, and there's only one large town in that county that I'm aware of. But we're not naming names here. But that city or that mayor has said he's going to organize, is it a task force? Is that what they're calling this now? To study, basically well, I know you can word this better than I can. So what is this task force actually going to be studying? And as the task force has been described so far, we're a little concerned about this.
Yeah, so it's a safe storage evaluation. So what happened was Council Member Baird pushed this safe storage bill within the city council there in Lincoln last fall. And as would be expected, there were a lot of people who responded, both in favor and opposed. It was fairly controversial, but they got enough backlash, enough people opposed to a safe storage bill that they kind of permanently tabled it. And what that safe storage means is it would be a requirement for you to lock up all of your firearms. You could never have something, quote, unsecure, whatever that means, so that if it were ever to be stolen or used by someone who should not use it, you would be held liable for that. So I don't know what a lock really would consist of. I don't think everybody would be required to go buy a $3,000 safe.
I mean, yeah, what if they walk off with your biometric bedside safe, that your little hand safe, you touch and it opens up and it has your pistol in it? Just walk off with that and steal your gun. Then it's up to you to prove that you actually had that thing. It was actually in there.
And that's part of the problem.
that is insane, man.
Part of the problem is then it would be up to you to prove, hey, it was secured, but they took the safety enclosure that it was in and eventually were to bust it out.
I love when laws like this come across that it's the person who got robbed. It's their fault for having the item.
In
Yeah,
their home, on their property, with the locked door, Yeah, it's your problem that somebody broke into your home.
Well, the whole premise of this law, the whole reason that we would have a law like this is to make sure that you have I was walking on you there, Double A. What I started to say, the whole premise of this law is to make sure that the guns are locked up, because it's already illegal for somebody to break into your house or break into your vehicle and take your property. There's already laws against that, and so the whole premise of this law is that people who are criminals don't follow laws.
No, that's not the whole premise of it. The whole premise of it is to put one more restriction on legal gun owners, because legal gun owners will comply with it if it goes into law. And it's another barrier to entry for somebody, because now you don't have to just buy the gun and the ammo and you have to spend the money to go out and practice. Well, now you've got the gun, the ammo, and a safe of some kind, or a lock of some kind.
And everything else that they say you need, when really our Second Amendment says you don't need. Yeah.
Well, isn't the whole idea too is kind of just to play Minority Report here, trying to stop you from committing a crime before you commit the crime, so you are then guilty before a crime's committed, before proven guilty?
Yeah, and what it does is it shifts the burden of proof to the defense, which the Constitution clearly states that's not legal.
Exactly. Which it ends up being kind of really crazy when you think about it, because it's not constitutional, and it hasn't happened yet. You still have free choice, and they're overriding that. It's dumb.
Well, and another thought that I've had, and I've thought about, red flag laws as a whole for as long as we've been hearing that the states are introducing these, and I can understand that if the police would come to my door and tell me that somebody says I'm a threat and something has to be done, that slap cuffs on me and take me away and put me in a jail cell. Of course, they cannot do that because I've committed no crime.
Right. And
so if I haven't committed a crime and I can't be locked up, then why is it okay to confiscate my property with which I have committed no crime?
Well, just pass another law that's called a red flag law, and now they have the right to say, well, you committed a crime because somebody complained. That's what it is.
Yeah, we're afraid you're going to commit a crime. Now,
I'm sorry, that's what it is. It's another law to say, well, now you're a criminal. Period. You're a criminal now because we made a law that said you're a criminal.
You're right, and that's true. But I guess I don't understand why it's not legal to lock me up for a crime that I haven't committed yet. It's not legal. They tried this for a while, and it's been deemed not constitutional, I believe, to stop and frisk. You can't just stop somebody and see if they're carrying a gun or ask them if they're about to go commit a crime just because they're dressed like a gang member or they look like somebody else who may or may not be going and doing bad things. You can't look at somebody and judge them and say, well, you look like a criminal, so I'm going to stop and detain you and frisk you. That's illegal.
Yep.
So why is it okay to come into somebody's home and say, well, somebody else thinks that you might be a criminal? And
because
we have no evidence to go off of other than somebody's word. So we're just to be safe, we'll take your stuff away because heaven forbid that you might use a car to commit a crime. Double A, I know
Armament.
you're trying to say stuff, but we're not being able to make out much of it. You're kind of robot in there.
Oh, and to get to your point, Sandhills, is that the problem is that legal gun owners are the only class of people that it's currently socially acceptable to be a bigot against.
Well, that's not the only class.
Okay, do you know why these laws are popular?
Bring it to us, Squib.
Because they don't affect everybody.
True.
Okay, so look at it like this. There's a lot of people out there that don't understand guns. They don't know anything about guns. They don't know anything about gun laws. They don't know how they work. They don't understand the difference between a clip and a magazine, let alone, what the calibers. They don't understand any of it. They don't want to know. They don't care. It doesn't affect them. They don't have a gun. They don't have a gun. So if you make a law where you say, we're just going to lock up everybody who gets, who we might think is a threat, that affects everybody. But if you just say, we're only going to go after the gun owners, that doesn't affect everybody. Plus, like you were saying, they don't have the right to just put you in jail for a crime you haven't committed. But your property, they don't have a right for that either, but they're making it their right because they know they'll get support because there's so many people out there who don't have guns, don't care about guns. It's not an issue to them. And because these people don't understand any of that stuff, they believe what is fed to them by the politicians, the media, and the movies. And they think that because you own a gun, you must be the next Las Vegas mass murderer just waiting to happen because they're told that. And unless you can get people to start understanding what gun ownership really is and what the Second Amendment really is and all that en masse, you're not going to get this stuff to change. From their point of view, if you've got all your guns locked up in your house, how can anybody possibly get accidentally shot? If you've got all your guns locked up in your house, how can anybody steal them and commit a crime with them? If you do something and you seem to be menacing and people know you've got guns and they come and take away your guns, well, then obviously you can't do any harm to anybody. They're not thinking about the fact that a gun is a tool or a device. Well, so is a knife. So is an axe. So is a vehicle. So, and the list just goes on and on and on. They're not thinking that. They're not, you're not going to get people to accept reality because they're so used to being fed the lies from the media and from politicians and from TV and movies. And it's not going to change until people's attitude change. The general public's attitude changes.
Squib's exactly right. He really is.
Mm-hmm.
Been watching this for years, and in the media and everything, the way that things are going and the way that people are led like sheep. And, he's saying us in the 2A community, and there's a lot of people in this country that, we've never even fired a gun, and they're evil. They haven't got a clue. And a lot of people in big cities, they just, I don't know. He's exactly right, though. And looking at it, agree with you, Squib. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, buddy.
People who don't understand guns think that, well, as long as you don't have it, you can't possibly do anything with it. Okay, from a college professor textbook logic point of view, sure, but there are other ways, or there are other ways to get a gun, or and they're not thinking past that because these are the same people that skim the headlines and get their news or get their information from reading a bold print headline on the top and don't bother to read the 10 paragraphs of the story, whether it's true or not. They just go, see, that must be what it is. Just like the news. The news edits everything. They do it brief. They've got a time constraint. They've got to get everything out and blah. Plus, they have a narrative and stuff like that. People hear a 30-second clip on something when it was an all-day event and they only interviewed the biggest idiot there because that's what's going to get them the most ratings. And they go, well, they must all be like that. And the other 499 people there were not like they picked the biggest idiot out of the crowd. And because these people don't understand and they don't want to, the ignorance drives me up a wall. If I have something that I'm challenged on and I want to verify my facts, I'm going to research it to the nth degree. Most people don't do that. And I can't tell people, well, you got to do what I do. But I mean, some of these people claim that they're intelligent, but they don't act like it.
Squib,
agree with you,
sheeple
Squib,
are
as
easily
far as-
led.
I agree with you, Squib. The ignorance driving me up a wall. The only thing that bothers me more than that is apathy. Because we've also got a huge number of people who just don't care. And I'm not just talking about people who are anti-gun. I'm not just talking about people who they don't have a dog in the fight because they've never shot a gun and they don't own them. I'm talking about a lot of people, and I'm calling out a lot of Nebraskans. I know when I say this, but there's a lot of people who just don't care because, they go out and they've got a pump action shotgun, they've got a bolt action deer rifle, they might have, a couple revolvers or something like that. And for the most part, everything that they own is not under attack. They don't care if scary black rifles get taken away because they don't own one. They don't care if bump stocks get taken away because they think they're dumb. And they don't understand that the bump stock issue is not about the stock. Gun control is never about the gun. It's always about control. And there's no way to make them see that because they don't even want to have a conversation.
It's sad.
Yeah, you're right.
It's totally sad. You're right. I work with a guy that's like, oh, I think anything dangerous should be taken away. Now, mind you, we drive trucks. And I'm like, oh, well, you mean somebody should take that truck away from you because you know how many people you could run over and kill with that truck? What? No, he won't even have a conversation. I can't even say to him, well, why? Oh, you're not going to change my mind. Too many people like that out there.
Mm-hmm.
They do not want to see reality for what it is. Too many people in big cities live in their little utopian bubble that don't really realize that criminals don't give two craps about whatever law you pass. Us as law-abiding people, we got to live by this crap. You think them guys care? What makes a criminal a criminal? By definition, they break laws. You think one more is going to make a difference? Come on.
Yep. That's just like.
But you can't say that to the general population and get them to agree or understand. You might have a few people that start fact checking you and go, "Oh man, I never knew this was a thing." You might enlighten a few people, but in general, though, it's even somebody who has, like you were saying, they've got a pump action shotgun for hunting, or they've got their Glock in their nightstand for home defense. And why would they need more than one gun? And it is a shame that there are so many people out there that could be a part of our community that really do have a dog in the fight, but they don't consider it an issue. I could see if they say, look, I don't have a gun, I don't want a gun, I don't want to have nothing to do with guns, don't talk to me. But Sandhills, the people you were bringing up, yeah, it is kind of a shame because, I mean, we know what'll end up happening.
Yeah, we've seen it in other countries. But there's too many people, there's too many voters who are young enough to have not seen what has happened in just in the last 100 years in the world. There's too many voters who not only they didn't see it themselves, but they don't want to hear the stories from the people who did see it. And when we forget our history, we all know we're doomed to repeat it. And there's some history in the last 100 years that I, for one, do not want to see repeated. Especially not in my country. But again, for now, that's why we have a Second Amendment, is to keep some of that crap from actually happening. But I'm just a little concerned about what things.
John,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, this was writ school. Etched in stone up high, it said knowledge comes but wisdom lingers. Think about that one. Think about that for a minute. I can't remember who the quote was from, but knowledge comes but wisdom lingers, which means, I could be school smart, but wisdom of knowing how the world works.
Yeah.
Look around, y'all. This is good for you. Yeah, you've been buffaloed.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, and we all know somebody who didn't go to college. Maybe they didn't even finish high school. Depending on our age, we know people who didn't go to high school, maybe had an 8th grade education, that were extremely smart. Everybody knows, that, or most of us probably do anyway. We know that one guy or that one gal who didn't have a formal education and yet was the smartest person that you'd ever talk to, as far as giving you good sound advice, common sense, which obviously isn't very common anymore. You're right. Formal education doesn't make you smart. It doesn't make you wise. But real quick before we wrap up, and I'm not going to go too much longer just because I've got to get to work early tomorrow. But I do want to ask, and we'll just kind of roundtable this the way that we have been. Are there any scenarios that you can see where having a red flaw, yeah, that's what we should call them, red flaws.
Red flaw laws.
Red flag law could be a positive thing.
Yeah, I
Red flag.
actually was thinking about this. Look, instead of taking away somebody's property, instead of putting them on a list, instead of locking them up and putting them in the funny farm until you can figure out otherwise, why don't they just do a wellness check? You call the local law enforcement, you say, look, this person has said things, they posted stuff online, and then you have maybe 1 or 2 officers show up. I wouldn't have more than 2. If you have too many officers show up, it's going to look intimidating. If you have officers showing up wearing tactical stuff, and some departments do that, I've seen local police wearing BDUs and body armor in their patrol car when they're writing traffic tickets. That looks intimidating. Maybe even have a plainclothes detective who's got proper credentials go to the house or whatever, knock on a door, don't force your way in, don't say, I've got a warrant, I've got this. Talk to the person on the front porch. Maybe ask if they can come in, have a cup of coffee. Just talk to them. Maybe say, you posted this thing on Facebook, you posted this thing on YouTube, you did this. Somebody who knows you is concerned, and I'm just here to make sure everything's all right. Is there anything we can do for you? And then at that point, if the person says, yes, I've been feeling this way, I've been feeling that way, you offer them some sort of free of charge care. Either you take them to a professional, they go to counseling, whatever it is, and at that point you can further evaluate them, have a professional further evaluate them to find out if they've got. Now if they just slam the door and they say, get out of my face, then that's all you can do. But a simple wellness check, that guy that shot up the school in Florida, if they had acted on any of the 39 times in 2 years that they came over to see him, if they had acted on any of those, it would have stopped it, and it wouldn't have violated anybody's constitutional rights. Because he would have, if they had said, hey, are you feeling bad, would you come with us? The one time when he asked for help, I think he would have went with them.
Squib, you nailed it. The Florida shooter, look at his Facebook and everything else, and it's like, why did
and to get the police off the hook. But to get the police
you didn't
off the
need
hook,
red flag laws for that. You needed to go, hey, this guy's saying we're gonna do something and we're gonna shoot, and I'm gonna be a professional school shooter. At that point, shouldn't they have went, yeah, we might want to check this guy out, but they didn't. Why?
No, but look, the police are worried that they're going to be held liable. Okay, here's an official police report. Somebody, requested that we do a wellness check on this person because of X, Y, and Z, and you're going to have in that report their name, who they are, what prompted them. Was it a post on Facebook? Was it a phone call? Was it whatever it was? Not just I saw them walk into the house with a case gun. Yeah, so what? All right. But you actually have a documented report. You show what officers showed up on what day, was the person home, how did the interaction go, and you have an official report. And then when something comes out and somebody says, why didn't police do something? They can pull out a piece of paper and look, we did something. We didn't violate this person's constitutional rights, but we did something. How many times would they actually see something or hear something that makes them think that they need to take it up a notch further? Maybe they do need to have this person, followed by a detective or something because they said something they can't arrest them for, but maybe they did say, or they saw something, through the window or whatever. I don't know. But I'm just saying, if you want to find a way to tell people that we're doing something about it, because the general public, the sheeple, want to see, we got to do something. And you want to get the police to go, look, we don't want to be responsible for this. Then just do wellness checks. Done.
I don't know. I mean, after seeing what that guy posted on Facebook and on the social media and everything else, I mean, shit, the Patriot Act, I mean, honestly, people, I'm going to be a professional school shooter. They should have done their job. I mean, that's like, honestly, let's look at the Patriot Act. Don't agree with it much. There's a lot of, but
yes, they should have done their job. It was swept under the rug because they had an agreement with the school system. And all of those people should be facing some sort of criminal charges for what they did.
There you go.
But on
politics,
all I'm saying is there's a fine line you cross from violating somebody's constitutional rights to, saying we did our job. And the Supreme Court's already ruled that the police are not obligated to protect us. So that's why they need to lift all these firearms restrictions, anything for any sort of weapons or training or any of that, so that you take the proper responsible position yourself, or you choose. You have the choice. You don't have to do it, but you should have the choice, the option of being able to protect yourself, because the police aren't obligated. And they can't be everywhere. And they can't, I mean, from a long distance standpoint, having a sidearm open or concealed carried isn't going to protect you. In Las Vegas, there could have been 100 concealed carriers in that crowd. It wouldn't have made a difference. But in most scenarios where these mass murders with a firearm or a couple people is, from a logical standpoint, giving the police the ability, whatever they need, more people, funding, some sort of law or something that lets them do a wellness check. That doesn't mean they're going to violate your rights, because every one of us that is on this show right now would be getting a knock on the door tomorrow if they take these red flag laws to the nth degree, because we're using our First Amendment right to speak on how we feel about how they're violating our Second Amendment right. And somebody could go, they're a bunch of loose cannons, they're going to be the next. And none of us say that, and none of us feel that way. But to somebody on the outside who doesn't understand or doesn't appreciate it, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have a problem talking to the police and going, look, dude, is it my ex-wife, or, so.
Well, that's the other problem, though, is a lot of the time you don't even get to know who it is that blew the whistle on you with these laws.
And I don't agree that, because doesn't it say that you have a right to a speedy trial and to face your accuser in court?
Accuser, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
There's too many protections. There's too many protections built into these things for the people that are filing reports. At the very least, they should get prosecuted for filing a false police report.
You hit it on the head, though. You have a right to face your accuser in court, but by the time you get to court, you've already lost your firearms, because you have to go to court after the fact. And then you have to prove a negative, which is impossible to do. You have to prove that you're not a threat, rather than somebody else, the prosecution, having to prove that you are a threat or prove that you're a criminal, which could be proven if it were true. And if you can't prove it, then it's obviously not true. And that's
which is another constitutional violation, because we have due process. So not being able to face your accuser, not being able to know your accuser, not getting due process, and like it was said earlier about this younger generation, I think they don't appreciate why we have a constitution. And
there are too many voters who didn't even live through the Cold War. And
no kidding.
When you discuss the Cold War, I was only alive for the end of it. I don't think I was even 10 years old yet when the Berlin Wall fell. But at the same time, I still remember growing up, being young, and hearing about communist, USSR. It wasn't Russia at the time. I remember these things. I remember hearing about World War II, the atrocities in Southeast Asia. All this stuff. All of the basically what we would call crimes against humanity. Hearing about these things from people who were there and saw it firsthand. And so many kids aren't even being taught that anymore. A lot of the history books are even omitting the facts or skewing the facts. And it's a horrible thing that's happening because again, those of us who do know our history just have to sit back and watch these idiots repeat it. I know now, I'm starting to realize now I'm not a parent, but I have parents. And I know at one point in my life, they sat back and just shook their heads and watched me make mistakes that they knew I was about to make, and they knew what was going to happen, and they had to let me find out for myself. And now I see the same thing happening with a lot of the young voters in this country. However, the stakes are a little bit higher, I think, in a lot of these situations.
I was just going to say the same thing. You know, the mistakes your parents let you make are one thing, but the mistakes you make politically or looking at your country, I'm only a little bit older than you, and I've been watching it, and I'm like, man, you didn't study history enough to see that it's starting to repeat itself. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly right. We've got too many people who are dazzled by the prospect of free stuff without having to work for it. Oh my gosh, democratic socialism must be good because people say that if it's democratic socialism, it's not going to fail. And I'll get free stuff, and I'll go to college for free, and I'll get healthcare for free, and I'll get food for free, and I don't have to do anything in return except for sell my soul to the devil to do it.
Hey, Sandy, do you know what the Cloward-Piven strategy is?
I do not. Could you enlighten me?
I will Google it and put it in one of the chats. It's basically politics controlled enough to make people think that the only way you can survive is socialism. That's it. Come out, I think, in the 50s, but it's called the Cloward-Piven strategy. And you put that with the 1984 and all that, and I'm looking at it, it's like, wow, it's really coming to fruition. It really is.
Oh, it's a little scary how well George Orwell could look into the future. That's terrifying to me how dead on some of those things are becoming. Real quick before I lose track, we did have a super chat from Rob C. Thank you, Rob, for doing that. Question for the panel. What do you say to the guy that says this can stop the next school shooting? And of course, he's referring to the red flag laws. So real quick, anybody have an opinion? What do we say when somebody says, we need to do this for the children? If only one child's life is saved, it's worth it. How do you refute something like that?
If that person is a drinker, you say, you know what? I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to tell them that I think you're a threat to drinking and driving. And they're going to come into your house and going to take all the alcohol out of your house, and they're going to take your cars away from you. That way, if you don't have alcohol in cars, you can't drink and drive, right?
Well, that does kill way more Americans than guns every year.
Well, one of the things I would say is, if you take a look at the majority of the mass shootings that have occurred, there have been warning signs. There have been all kinds of opportunities for somebody to do the right thing, get the right people involved, go through the existing processes that exist to get these people help that would have prevented, in most of these cases, what happened. We have processes. It's not like we have a lack of a process. And so we don't need a bill like this that can be greatly abused. I mean, hell, and this is not at a national level. This is Rhode Island, I think. But the ACLU has not been a big fan or supporter of the Second Amendment.
Right.
And they have put together an extensive opposition paper to these red flag laws because of all the violations of civil rights that these can be greatly abused. So, but we have existing processes if they would only be followed.
That, and maybe if we enforced some of the laws that we already have on the books, and made stiffer penalties for breaking some of these laws to begin with, then we wouldn't have to invent new laws that only affect the people who follow them anyway. So absolutely. And I know my own opinion on, if you want to prevent school shootings, if you want to prevent public shootings anywhere, let's look at, was it Mr. Lott did the study? Since 1950, I believe it was, over 98% of all mass shootings have been committed in gun-free zones. So maybe we should have a push to just abolish gun-free zones. We wouldn't have people taking guns into school. We might still have people taking guns into school. Don't get me wrong, and with intention to commit mass murder. At the same time, they're going to think twice if they don't, or they're not sure if that's a safe place to do that. Where people would think twice about going into nightclubs and shooting people up, and we have proof of that in Florida, I believe. The nightclub shooter in Orlando made a trip to Disney World earlier in the day and saw the security and about faced and found a softer target. We have evidence. We have not only anecdotal evidence, but we've got things like security surveillance tapes that prove that gun-free zones, or rather zones where there is armed security, people are safer. Yet we refuse, or we as a society, and when I say we, I don't mean the 2A community, I mean America in general, prefers to bury our head in the sand and say, well, we don't actually want a solution. We would rather cry about the problem. So I don't know that there's a fix for that, or an easy fix for that part.
An armed society is a polite society, maybe?
Well, it's true, and we all in here realize it's true, but not everyone else.
Well,
does.
Come on, you got to realize that criminals prey on people that are unarmed. They're easy prey. It's the simplest truth. That
it's Darwinian in nature.
Exactly, and yeah, well, the anti-gunners don't want you to believe that. They want you to believe that, oh, we can protect you. No, you can't. But, sheep will listen to them, and they'll go, oh, okay, we'll follow you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nope, sorry, not a sheep. Never will be.
That's right. We prefer to keep our teeth, thank you, in our claws. All right, so I think we're going to wrap it up and let everybody get out of here a little bit earlier than what we normally do. We've already had AWAG and Calaveras leave, so thank you, fellas, for joining us and hanging with us as long as you could. So let's go back through and just let everybody have some closing thoughts, and then if you have anything coming up on your own channel or others that you'd like to plug, we'll go ahead and let everybody do that. So we'll start back over with AA. Anything you'd like to add before we close up shop?
No, not much. Like I said, our Creator Summit coming up. Like our channel and all that. Hope I didn't walk on anybody's toes tonight. I like to chat, but good discussion. Thank you for the invite, John.
Yeah.
Had fun.
Always a pleasure. We couldn't hear some of what you said, but you're coming in loud and clear now. So,
all right,
we're glad to hear you. Glad to have you.
Good to go.
All right, Glitter and Guns. Anything you'd like to add? Anything you'd like to plug as far as your channel goes?
Yeah, definitely go check out my channel. I've uploaded a new video today, or not today, excuse me, like Monday or Tuesday. I was working on a new video today. Should be uploading it in the next couple of days. If you want to hang out with me in Gun Channel's Hangout during the day. I go into the lobby chats. And of course, thanks for having me in the chat tonight. It was fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's always nice to have extra or newer perspectives, and we don't always have a lot of female perspective on our panels. So I like to hear from a really wide cross section of people. So it's always a pleasure. All right, David Bowling, anything you'd like to say before we go?
No, thanks for having me, man. Everybody like, share, and subscribe to Sandhills Shooter, and tune in on Tuesday. Check out 2A Tuesday.
The normal time, and if you haven't gone over to Kingpin's channel and subscribe to him, David's always got some good stuff to say and some cool stuff to show you. So make sure that you do that, and then the same for everybody else here in the panel. All right, Obnoxious One, What say
Yes,
you?
sir. Thank you for having me. Check out my show. We made it official tonight. There will always be a show at either 9 p.m. Eastern on Thursday or 11 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, whether it's me or Sarge. The two of us are working together to lock up those two spots. So if Sarge has a show on Thursday, I will have one on Saturday and vice versa. This week will be the official first show of that whole partnership. So you guys can check that out this weekend on Saturday night at 11 p.m.
Awesome.
And you can also probably catch me over on some, I don't know, it's a subpar show. It's called The Closer, I think it is. I usually show up on there at like 10:30 or 10:45 or 11 o'clock or whenever he decides to get his act together and start the show, but I'll be there too.
So are you doing the pre-closer? Is that what you're calling it?
I don't know what we're calling my show
Okay.
yet. Gary came up with the
pre-party.
Gary came up with the Orange Express, and I'm kind of mulling that one over. I have another one that, out of respect for Sandhills, I won't say it, but it involves a donkey with a machine gun on his back, so that'd be full auto donkey. That is another one.
A full auto donkey? I'm there.
Well, I was just thinking that you could call it Orange You Glad that you're not watching Midnight Range.
We may have a winner, folks. We may have a winner. we may Sandhills. You may have just.
Dude, that was great. That was great.
Orange, you glad this isn't the closer? You know what? Orange, you glad this isn't the closer? We have a winner. I can take that off the. I can take that off the list of things to cover on Saturday night now because now we have a name.
I expect
It hasn't even aired one episode, and it's already the highest rated show on YouTube.
I know. I want the I tell you what. Instead of a royalty, in lieu of royalties, when you make that T-shirt, send me one. I wear a men's XXX. That's all you need to do.
Alrighty,
dude. That's a lot of orange material.
I'm going to wear deer hunting is what I'm going to do.
That is a lot of orange material.
I wear the Blaze Orange vest. So yeah.
I wear men's 2X. So I mean, I know how much material a 2X is. If it's 3X, I mean, that's some serious orange.
Is that like Omar the tent maker large or what?
Hey now.
Just messing with you.
I'll take the ladies medium, thank you.
They used to fit me tight. At least the shirts are fitting loose now. So
there you go. Tune in Saturday night for Orange You Glad It's Not the Closer.
Orange You Glad It's Not the Closer.
Orange You Glad. That's funny.
All right, Squib, what's up?
Shifting gears here. Had to go from 5th to 6th. Thanks for the invite, and thanks for letting me run my mouth. I've been mulling over this whole red flag thing for a while and trying to think of something that might seem somewhat reasonable to both sides, cover all the bases, and not necessarily ignore the fact that there are threats out there, but also not violate anybody's constitutional rights. So I appreciate you giving me a chance to run my mouth. Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. You can come run your mouth anytime. All right, Travis P11.
Yeah, man. First of all, thank you for the invite. I do appreciate it. Let's see, Rod, I want to thank you for being on here. And something that Rod and also Squib said, there's something important here. There's already precautions out there that, or, there's already measures out there that you can take if you're worried about somebody or you genuinely think somebody's going to harm somebody. You can make phone calls. We don't need red flag laws that can end up having our property confiscated. And I'm worried about what'll happen if this goes in mass and it just kind of explodes like wildfire and a community has a rash of phone calls. And at some point, people are going to react to it negatively. It's going to be bad. It's already happened in Maryland before. So, again, just encourage people if they start talking red flag laws, if that's the new hip term that people want to buy into, you might want to remind them that we already have precautions as a society that exists. We don't have to have these additional infringements. And I think that's the important thing to remember.
Travis, there won't be a rash of phone calls because the next red flag law will be to take everybody's cell phone because of texting and driving.
Yeah.
I could get
I
behind
mean,
that.
Sandhills already said there's
Well,
no people killed in traffic accidents, so
We'll go back to payphones. It's
I was just gonna make the comment about how far does this red flag law go? Well, there's also these laws about texting and driving, but how far is this gonna go?
Anybody who tells you that they want to pass a gun law to keep people safe or to save kids' lives is full of crap. Because if they wanted to save kids' lives, they would look at the number 1, number 2, number 3 killers of young people in America. Guns aren't on that list. They would address the real problems. I'm not saying that it's not tragic. Nobody wants to see kids get shot in a school or anybody get shot anywhere. But at the same time, if you're really concerned about the kids, then you're going to do something about texting and driving, underage drinking, drug use, things like that. Obviously, are going to be way more effective if there was a way to curb that. So, all right. And then last but not least, we have our special guest, Rod, representing not only Nebraska, but also the Nebraska Firearms Owners Association. So any closing thoughts that you want to add to the mix here?
Just, had a great time. Appreciate being invited to come on tonight. Pay attention to Nebraska Firearms Owners Association on Facebook. That's probably where you're going to find the most updates. And then we also try to do our video updates weekly on YouTube, or follow us on Twitter. I'm not a big Twitter person myself, but we do have a person who does a great job managing our Twitter account. But different social media outlets, we'll try to keep you apprised of what's going on with different bills, as well as different events that we have going on.
Okay. So, NFOA website is just nebraskafirearms.org. Is that correct?
.org.
Let me just copy and paste this over in the chat before we go. So go find NFOA on Facebook or go to the website that I just threw up in the YouTube side there. And just for good measure, nobody's actually watching on gun channels, but we'll throw it in there just for equal time. So we do have the option of joining that for free. Those of us who are residents in Nebraska, those of you who are not Nebraskans, there's something that they can do as well. Is that right, Rod?
Oh, sure. We do have, associate membership. Membership's no fee. I mean, the big advantage is being a member is to be kept aware of what's going on that affects the laws, whether it be city level, state level, around the state. So that'll get your emails. We don't send that many emails out. I mean, 2 in a month. If it's busy, we might go 2 or 3 months between emails. I mean, it's not like you're going to get spammed with a bunch of crap. But that's the main thing. And you don't have to be a Nebraskan to pay attention to what's going on, because all the states are fighting the same issues.
Well, and what we've seen, when one state does it, 2 or 3 more follow fairly soon. And we definitely don't want to see an epidemic of some of this.
No.
So, all right. Well, thanks, Rod, for being here. And like I had said earlier, anytime that you want to join us, you're always welcome to come and hang out and throw your 2 cents worth in on the conversation. So if you want me to, I'll just throw you on my distribution list when I send links out every week. If you can join, you
great.
can. And if not, then you can catch us later on the replay, because these all get uploaded to YouTube and Gunstreamer. And one of these days, I will actually get off my duff and get these put all up on guntube.org as well. So thanks for being here, Rod. It's been great. I think with that, we will say goodnight to everybody that I can see still out on the YouTube side. We've got Stephen Kaiser out there, Vanessa Kitty, Frank Hellman is still with us, Blue Steel 44. Thomas, I know I'm saying your name wrong, but I'm guessing it's either Sice or Cease. And if it's anything else, then I'm really dumb. We've got Sui 778, I think, is out there. Glitter and Guns, of course, is there and here. Who else do we have up there that I could see talking before? Rob C was out there, threw us that super chat. So thanks, Rob. And by association, thanks, Glitter, for that. We appreciate the support. While I'm looking for more names here, I will throw out, if you go to gunstreamer.com and subscribe to Sandhills Shooter, there is an option now to support the channel on that as well. The Contribute Us that the Gunstreamer has opened up. So we've got the same options over there now as what we have on patreon.com. I don't spend a lot of money doing this, so I don't need a lot of money to keep the chats going. But the more money we can actually raise, I can get nicer cameras and microphones and that kind of stuff. So, all right, who else do we have? We had Poor Conservative out there. Poor Conservative has been good about commenting on some of the videos here lately that I've been throwing up on the channel. That doesn't sound good when I say throwing up on the channel, does it?
Hey, Sandals, can I make one quick announcement about Caliber Corner? I forgot to say this earlier.
Oh, yeah, we've got a time change on yours as well, don't we?
Yes. I've got some family obligations Saturday morning. So Sunday, it's going to happen at 8 a.m. on Sunday instead of Saturday, 8 a.m. Central Time. So, again, it's not the best time or the day on the weekend for people to join us. But if you want to be there, it'll be 8 a.m. Sunday. And I'll put a video up on YouTube and get it all over the place. But that way, kind of minimize the number of people that email me Saturday morning thinking something's happened to me. So
sure. The one Saturday that I've got off this month.
Oh, I'm so sorry, man. We don't have a choice on this, though. Yeah, no, I
can be there for the whole show. Either I can be there for the whole show. Either way, Saturday or Sunday will be good.
All right. Well, yeah. So anyway, it'll be Sunday at 8 a.m. Central. All right.
Caliber Corner this week only Sunday instead of Saturday.
I hope so. Yeah.
8 Central, 9 Eastern. That's 7 o'clock in the Mountain Time Zone and 6 o'clock for the people out on the West Coast. So
that's right.
If you're in Hawaii, then it's the middle of the night. So we don't expect anybody to join that one live, probably.
Well, we could.
What we have out there? We had BTEP. We had Local 223. I know I'm skipping over a lot of people that I can't get back up there and see. Snob's Wife, Kingpin. So everybody, Gizzard Gary was out there for a little bit. I think he woke up long enough to go to bed, maybe. Grandpa Stan is out there or was out there. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. This has been 2A Tuesday on a Thursday this time. We will go back to the regularly scheduled time slot. However, I may be skipping another Tuesday. I don't know what's going to happen when there's going to be some cool stuff happening. There's going to be a very good surgery happening here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. And I don't know what day it'll be. If it's on Tuesday, we'll probably bump to a Tuesday that week. But I'll let everybody know what's going on if that's the case. But for now, plan on us every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Central Time. It is the only time zone that matters, Squib, because we're right in the center of everything. And anybody that says otherwise is selling something. So
everything revolves around
this, right? A little bit earlier tonight with the emails. So that's what's going on there. So I can hear him.
See, everybody.
That's all you're going to get. You're just going to get the sound of a diesel engine. That's it.
Just the sound of a diesel. Is that a Cummins?
Darn right. Made in Columbus, Indiana.
There we go. There we go. It might not be American owned, but it is American made. So,
wow. Is this show going to end?
No.
All right. It
show
is
might be in fridge.
Where we will say bye, Felicia.
And
show might be in fridge.
Adios, Felicia.
Hashtag Porky Piggin.
One more inch. And then if we're lucky, I'll hit the right button.